I'm on.
Ooh, how's everybody doing today? This is Randy here. I'm at Ovation Music and Studios. We have Aaron at his house. We're still in quarantine for those of you who are seeing this in the year 2050. It is May 15th, 2020. This puts us I think we're 10 days short of 2 months now for the United States, and we're 5 months in for some of the world, 3 months for a little bit of everything going on right now. But if you want more comments about that, you got to put comments first, because we don't know what you want unless you tell us. Today we're going to talk about some guitars, some pianos.
I'm just going to copy you.
And some harmonic rhythms and some melodic rhythms. So there's just in a verses. We've done a bunch of verses videos. We're going to do some more verses videos because I find music topics are great. If you got ideas for those, I've got plenty. This is just something that happens in music. There's always at least two rhythms going on all the time. There's a melodic rhythm and there's a harmonic rhythm. The simplest form of this would be the single line early Bach stuff. The kind of things of that nature where there's only one note playing at a time. Sometimes they ring over, sometimes they don't, but there's only one note at a time.
Right.
And then two notes at a time, four notes at a time, inventions, fugues. We don't want to get into that topic, but the idea that we have a melody. And I'm making melodies up so that we don't have to pay any copyrights.
Right.
And so that would be a melody, and that has a rhythm. And the harmonic rhythm of that melody could be something like and I will cut the video and see if those two actually work. That'll be interesting.
I mean, I'm sure they would.
Nice. So how do we explain this, Aaron?
Harmonic and melodic rhythm, it seems a little bit like kind of self-explanatory, right? Like a melodic rhythm is whatever your melody is. It's the actual rhythm that it consists of. So I was going to use maybe some royalty-free examples, which we might do a little bit of that.
There's tons of them.
Right. So melodic rhythm is like it's honestly the rhythm of any melody. It's also the rhythm of basically any rhythmic idea. But if I had, I guess we do like Amazing Grace. If I had, we'll do, I'll do it here. If I had, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. So that's like the Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. The particular rhythm of that's your melodic rhythm, but the harmonic rhythm was the chord underneath it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. In that case, I was counting it as 6 for 1, then 3, then 3 again, as far as how many beats go. So the underneath, but your harmonic rhythm can vary, and it wouldn't necessarily have to be the same. You could do that same phrase, the same melodic rhythm, and have a different harmonic rhythm underneath it. You could have Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, and you could switch between. I'm sorry, my brain is a little bit dead today.
So I think we need a visual on this here. So I'm gonna share my screen. And drawing in Zoom has to be one of the worst things ever invented. But it works. So let's use a simple visual example here. So
Oh boy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We are doing it.
5. There are 6 beats here. All right.
This is the future.
This is the future. The harmonic rhythm has a hit here in open circle. And then in the slightly shaded circle, we'll have the melodic rhythm. Amazing grace. Right?
Exactly.
That's kind of a short representation of the first bar. So this song has a pickup, so you've slightly made it complicated by this choice of tunes.
That was off the top of my head. Sorry.
So if we consider each one of these vertical lines a beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The top one represents the chord change. That's the chord change for the first 6 beats.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom is the melodic rhythm. Wow, my pitch is off here humming. Let's don't talk about that. Ignore that.
So yeah. Could have
right, but I have that rhythm drawn properly.
Yeah. The May and then Zing is technically 2 notes the way I was kind of singing it.
Yeah.
So you'd find a different one in between that 3rd and 4th beat, but yeah.
I guess that's another discussion. Let's skip that for a second.
Can we hit the reset button on this whole thing? I feel like no. My brain is.
You don't get to have reset buttons. I'm drawing these like beautiful lines here. Look at the vertical line that I drew with the pencil. Come on, this is like real YouTube content here.
I can't.
So I don't, and honestly, as sad as it is, I don't know how to play this song. I can't remember the last time I tried. I probably played it on saxophone at some point in like 7th grade or 8th grade. I've sang it.
Royalty free. Here's our royalty free.
Well, I mean, I was gonna go with like some Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or something for royalties free. So that's bar 2 on the bottom, right? What key are you in there?
I was doing it in A.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. So where I played right there was the open circles.
Right.
And I sang the gray circles.
Right.
And so that's kind of that's just an example of how to identify harmonic rhythm and melodic rhythm.
Now it seems like to me when we're talking about this as like a subject, it's like it's pretty straightforward as far as definitions go, but like the implication of what it is in a song or like the application of what it is in a song is like I was trying to think of songs that rapidly switch like the harmonic rhythms tempo, or ones that kind of stay the same, like sections of songs that have a consistent tempo of harmonic rhythm and then mix it up to being like very fast or very slow.
Well, we could do a very quick example of this. I use this all the time in my personal writing. I do go to a halftime or I forget how they say it. The halftime double time is a whole nother discussion. So what I do is I make the chords in the chorus twice as long as the chords in the verse to make the chorus feel slower but more energetic. Right. It builds tension. You can also do it the other way if you want the chorus to feel more energetic and faster. So I can completely just make up something real quick here. So what I'm going to do is 4 chords in whole notes, and then I'll do the same 4 chords in half notes twice.
Right.
So that'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the only thing that I played different was the rhythm of the chord changes.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, when you slow it down, yeah, you get that, like, the heavier feel. You can kind of pay, like, especially if you have like a chorus coming up, it's a chance to like grab onto something.
absolutely. So that's how you can utilize your harmonic rhythms in an actual writing situation. I love using 4-chord songs that just this 4-chord cycle. Very rarely will you see me use that 4-chord cycle personally, but I'm sure all of you have heard that tons of times. That's a 4-1-6-5 for everybody who's curious how to get that sound.
Right.
Normally, I would use like a 1 minor flat 7 flat 6 5. That is more my thing.
Sure.
And again, just changing the fill up by changing the rhythm.
Yeah.
Simple stuff, man. So how do you use this in your writing, Aaron?
Well, I guess one thing that, like, I don't know.
That's okay. It's a tough question. I'm throwing you on the spot here.
Yeah, I know. Well, some things that I like to think about when I'm doing, and this might be getting into the weeds and maybe not 100% what the question is, but sometimes when I'm thinking about harmonic rhythm and melodic rhythm, and like how they affect each other, sometimes it's kind of cool to think of the relationship that the melody has with the harmony, and that kind of dictating what chords you move through, while maybe a melody has a held note, or maybe if you have a repeated note of a melodic idea, pitch included, that you might end up getting some interesting sounds just by the chord underneath it changing. So if we were making like a really, if we had a really like poppy tune, it just went like, hey, 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 and I wanted to put like a couple chords under it, I might go, hey, 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 and you can hear like the relationship on the first two, like that little melody, it feels different under one. Hey, my scale degrees that interact with that are like, it kind of turns the chord into a different feeling, like a major 7 into a 6th sound. But because the melody repeats, but the chord changes, the relationship between those two things stay the same. Even if I kept the rhythm and the pitches the same, you would get, because of what harmony you put underneath it, the relationship change of that. And even if you make the speed of it different, the harmonic rhythm of it different, like even when the melody is doing the exact same thing, the harmonic rhythm and the harmonic choices can make a melody be way more interesting, even though you're just singing the same 2 notes. Now, that's just a brief little example.
That's a great example of melodic rhythm staying exactly the same and a harmonic rhythm changing entirely.
Yeah, and that was like I'm sure you could pick a number of songs that do a similar thing to that, but there's interest
Oh
because
yes.
of that,
we're here in Nashville. There's a few bands in Nashville that have done that are really popular.
Everybody loves the Hayos. the Hayos, top.
And I wasn't even thinking about the country bands in Nashville that have done that. I was just thinking about the rock bands from Nashville that have done that.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking like Kings of Leon or something. Yeah, kind of making that up.
Exactly, but I'm pretty sure that Jason Aldean's done it as well. So these ideas, unfortunately, with harmonic rhythm, there's not a lot of complexity that you can have with harmonic rhythm and reach a wide audience. Okay, I have to put that stipulation on there. There's plenty of music out there that has extremely crazy harmonic rhythm to it, but the general public is not going to listen to that. I think of top-end avant-garde jazz, super high-end theoretical classical music, 12-tone world. But even in the 12-tone world, the harmonic rhythms are slower. Some of the composers will move faster, but things like that normal people won't listen to. And generally, we use whole notes, half notes, and what we call in Nashville pushes for our harmonic rhythms, where we're playing half notes, but this one's short and one's long.
Right.
For those who really want to know the theory behind pushed, it's a dotted quarter note tied to an eighth note or dotted quarter note and then eighth note tied to a half note.
There you go.
One and two. Gone fishing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. You know, this is the start of a top 40 country song here.
There you go.
And then our other rhythm, half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple, you've all heard that before. And then whole note harmonic rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you want to appeal to a general audience, those are the three basic harmonic rhythms I think you can use, and then you can sporadically throw in quarter notes where you get a line. But other than that descending thing, I don't hear quarter notes, at least in anything pop, radio friendly, general public listens to.
Yeah, you mean just quarter note harmonic rhythm changes?
Yeah, quarter note harmonic rhythm changes would be about as complex as you hear as far as harmonic rhythm changes. In actual
sometimes
example.
hear it in like a walk up kind of thing, you know?
Oh yeah, the little
Exactly. I would hear it there for sure.
What is it?
A walk up and a walk down. Like a 4 and then 3.
Yeah, in Kansas Dust in the Wind, you get the eighth note thing. You get the walk up in the A minor G over B eighth note walk.
Oh yeah, and Blackbird. but I was trying to stay more contemporary with you on that too, on that point. Yeah, every now and then you have like a walk up kind of moment that kind of connects those, which does kind of fall under.
So you get quarter notes, so you get a fourth maybe one there. But even when you look at super complex music, like one of the most complex harmonic songs there is in modern day, people actually listen to it, was Giant Steps by Coltrane. And it's half notes. It's half notes really, really fast.
Yeah, and that's the harmonic rhythm isn't the thing that's complicated about that.
No, the harmonic pattern's what's complicated. Yeah, the harmonic rhythm is extremely simple. So that being said, when you're writing your harmonic rhythms, one thing you can do in your songs is just pull yourself out of the song for a minute, forget the melody, and feel your harmonic rhythm. If it's not half notes and whole notes or some sort of obscurity close to that, it may need to be looked at.
I could say that there's a lot of a lot of pop stuff that even in the past couple of years, every now and then you'll come across a pop song that you're like, a keyboard player wrote that, or somebody, you know, like you have like a moment because I think it was a song, The Middle. I can't remember exactly how it goes.
That's Jimmy E's World.
No. In the middle, that little, I can't remember, it's like a pop female singer one. You'll hear like the
y'all leave that in the comments so I can find this thing. Aaron doesn't even know where he heard it.
I'm sorry. No, and then Khaled or did a song called Talk, I think. Every now and then every now and then you'll find, maybe not in like the strummy acoustic rock world, but sometimes in the pop world you'll find harmonic rhythms that move maybe several upbeats in a row, but I still think what you're saying, downbeats, pushes, and whole notes make up most of that too. That's a good point. I hadn't even thought about how much that.
Harmonic rhythm is typically simple. What gets complicated is how deep the harmonies are. The harmonic rhythm still remains simple. I was trying to think of a. Oh, sorry. So here's an example. Here's one that I've been working on for years. Aaron's actually come up with some cool melodies for it, and I need to finish it up.
Don't remember what that melody was.
But all in all, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's half note, whole note. Half note, half note, half note, half note, half note, half note, whole note for the harmonic rhythm.
Yeah.
And the chord
with some pushes in there too.
And some pushes, but the chord changes are fair. They're not the most complicated chord changes, but they're not simple. They're not easy on the ear in the sense that, like, this is just 3 notes. Everything's in the key. This chord, 3 notes, everything in the key. Here I've got an F sharp minor 11. And then I'm going to a G sharp minor sharp 5. Which isn't even in the key of F sharp minor, so it's a borrowed chord from F sharp major that doesn't even exist in F sharp major. So it's more of like a sub 2. Yeah, so the harmonic depth is extremely complicated here. You could say it's a 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 minor. I mean, in the key of E major. I mean, you could probably make up
at that point
simpler.
we're just hopping from Dorian Island to Dorian Island.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like the key is changing every chord. So harmonically, it's complex.
Right.
Rhythmically, that harmony is very simple.
Yeah.
Half notes, half notes. Now, back to our melodies. Are melodies simple rhythmically?
Depends on who you ask, I guess.
I mean, so what melody? I mean, I guess nowadays we would quantify a good melody by how much money it made, or how many times they've been sued for using it. Right. Which instantly brings me to the Kansas one.
I was trying to think of a song that has like the same harmonic rhythm all the way throughout, but like a constantly changing melodic rhythm, and I was like, Hotel California.
Hotel California is all quarter notes on the all whole notes in the harmonic rhythm. The chords are always changing in whole notes the entire song. The melody has one rhythm though. It's
yeah, I guess so. Well, between the verse and the chorus.
That's a tough. Sorry, guys, that's a tough example to play because the Eagles are pretty hot about people not using their music for anything unless they pay lots and lots of money for it.
Sure.
And ask for permission first. Though we could look at something like Imagine Dragons. All of their songs are basically one harmonic rhythm. It's usually 4 chords, all in whole notes.
Yeah.
Every now and then you get a double whole note, but you get this harmonic rhythm of what is it?
I think you wanted to go to E major. Yeah.
Is that it? When I sing, I can't sing that high, so I don't do it in this key.
Right.
I'm waking, I shed dust, I wipe my brow and sweat. But even that,
Hotel California.
that melodic, what is that melodic rhythm?
It's actually pretty complicated with the way he sings it. If you want to pick out the exact rhythm like notation of that, it's kind of a triplet feel coming into beat 3. Mm-hmm. It's waking up. So you've kind of got or I guess if I kind of 1, 2, I'm waking up, you could do an and like of and of 2, and of 3. Yeah, it's kind of like an 8th note on 2 and then a quarter note triplets through 3 and 4. But like that's kind of one of those. I'm waking up to ash and dust. I wipe my brow and I sweat my rust. This is it, the apocalypse. He's kind of got that little There's like a little bit of like a triplet.
Yeah, it's like he's switching from like a shuffle swing feel to a straight ahead.
Definitely not straight, but that he's kind of more of like he's got some hip hop influence too, so he kind of drags the beat around a little bit too.
Absolutely.
It's not like perfectly.
So even in a song that's really simple, we're getting a complex melody already.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that the rhythm has like a triplet feel. I wouldn't. I mean, it's still like I'm waking up to ash and dust.
And then it just repeats that same melody over and over again.
But that's still kind of
That
like
same rhythm.
It's kind of like an AAB format. So I wouldn't say necessarily. I'm just saying he's got a little like draggy, not as doesn't feel perfect like down and up beat structure, just because he's got some triplet and some laid back feel there. And I'd have to listen to it. Maybe I put that on myself. I'm pretty sure it's kind of more like that, but.
Well, I mean, I should never try to sing. I'm just sitting here going, man, I should never try to sing that in that key again. Maybe we should do a video on that, on should you sing songs in the original key or should you sing songs in the key you can sing them in? What do you guys think about that? Still with
guys like Billy Joel and Elton John have had interesting bouts with that as they've gotten older in their career. This is an interesting thing. When they were younger, how high that they could sing.
Yeah, I think of one that's super obvious. I think of Nazareth. And how much he does that song down a fifth now. Because of Love Hurt.
Yeah. Oh. No.
Love hurts.
Oh, that's
now
right.
He does it like love hurts.
Oh yeah, now he's a crooner. You give him time and he's gonna be in the Rat Pack.
So all in all, guys, the big thing you can take away from this is to learn harmonic rhythm and learn melodic rhythm, you really have to separate them out individually. It's hard to figure out what the melodic rhythm is when you're focused on the chord changes. So as people are playing and singing together, I love using, as goofy as this chart is that I did, which you can still see this, or Amazing Grace. You know, I can even come under it and put a text box. So this is Amazing, right?
Yeah.
That's a way to waste time. Amazing Grace.
I know for me, everybody kind of like comes to it a little bit differently how they like to write, and some people do they just jot down the lyrics and a couple of chord changes and just kind of go through them and try to match them up. And I think one of the problems that I think early people fall into is that their harmonic rhythm stays the same the whole time and they don't want it to.
They can't. They're not aware that they want it to change.
Yeah, or some people like have a hard time letting one chord hang out longer and be a different rhythm than the others. I think that's kind of like a thing that if you're early into like writing and stuff, you feel like you got to constantly move at the same rate. You get it kind of stuck in your ear. Some people don't have that problem at all, but I can think of more than once when someone was like, hey, I want to show you this song I was working on. And it like the chorus and the verse and everything felt the same because they didn't have like a moment in which they changed up that harmonic rhythm some. Either by hanging on the 5 chord for twice as long or like hanging on the 1 chord at the chorus, for two bars instead of just 1 and then moving on. I think that's just a quick note. If you're trying to make your song have some variation between the verses and choruses, rather than feeling like you got to cram more chords into it, harmonic rhythm is a great first thing to look at.
Yes, absolutely. So here, we didn't do this in D, did we? We did this in A.
Yes.
Yeah, Aaron just makes a solid point there. That first off, you got to be aware of it. If you're aware of harmonic rhythm and you're stuck writing a song for application of these concepts, check your harmonic rhythm. Write them down. I know this chart looks goofy, but it should be fairly simple for anybody to understand. Each vertical line represents a beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's 2 measures of 6. So if I play the chords in time, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the gray dots give us our melodic rhythm. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
There you go. Easy peasy.
And because I know the harmonic rhythm, and even though I've never, surprisingly, I really haven't sang this song before. At least I haven't sang and played this song before. So it's kind of interesting to do for the first time on something that's going to be posted in public. So the A, I know very easily, because I know where this D chord lands and what word it lands on, I can keep my rhythm very easily on something. Also, I've listened to this song a trillion times in my life.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard. Anytime you listen to something a lot, you know, you'll start to fill those holes in automatically without having to know them. So, in conclusion, I don't really have a conclusion. This is just an interesting discussion on. Hopefully you guys learned something, and this is very educational. Harmonic rhythm versus melodic rhythm, how they interact, how they work together, how you work on them separately. Hopefully you got some ideas for your own practice.
Yeah, I think harmony and I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, I think the harmony and melody have such a relationship that can be studied without rhythm, that when you add rhythm to it, or their relationship is rhythmic and it's pitch based. So there's like a lot of variations that they can take on. The three main ones that were mentioned today, and Randy brought them up, were like whole note, whole note rhythms, half note, and then like pushes. That does make up a lot of them. For like a lot of what you'll use. And to me, that's a good way to kind of like, when you're listening to a song, ask yourself the question, when are the chords changing? And just see if, because a lot of people grab onto the melody, especially early players and early just beginning learning musicians. You start picking out like, oh, the melody goes like this, and I'm going to try to figure out how it goes. Once your ear gets used to listening for when the chords change, and start hearing like not just one instrument's chords, but like the whole band does this thing together when they move, you'll start really getting used to what the harmonic rhythm is. And if you ever tried putting a harmonic rhythm and the melodic rhythm together, that is often one of the hardest things for some to do, because your melody also has to work with your harmony.
Yeah, it'd be a really slow melody or a really fast harmony if they're in time all the time.
So some of those things
that could be hard, man. That'd be a good exercise.
Well, that's just it. Sometimes you have a harmonic rhythm and a melodic rhythm that don't obviously work, but then you'll struggle to put them together at first. Like, what harmony best fits this in the moment for the melody that I want to use, and when do I go there, and can I do it as a pushed thing? Will it still line up with the melody? Like, the relationship between these two things are pretty huge. So this is still a scratch the surface kind of thing. But,
absolutely.
Yeah, like I feel like this past year I've taught Blackbird by Paul McCartney so many times. And that's a great example of like a harmony and melody, or a harmony that moves almost as much as the melody does, in terms of chord changes. Like it moves quite a bit. And it changes.
A minor, G, G. It just sits on a G forever. It's got the one passing A minor, though.
Well, to take these broken wings and learn to fly is a different chord for each one.
Yeah, that's...
So I'm just saying...
But the vocals are still going twice as fast.
Well, I'm just saying...
The Beatles will hit us up pretty quick, too. That video is probably already going to get pulled for inversions. Yeah. Speaking of that, y'all should go check out Rick Beato. He actually had one of his videos pulled for playing an A, D, and G together. So, we'll have a copyright discussion later. Well, everybody, again, this is May 15th of quarantine. This is our quarantine check-in. So hopefully you learned something about harmonic and melodic rhythms today. Please click the like, subscribe, and share buttons. I'm going to put a big like button on the back of my phone here.
Smart move.
Embed that in the video. See if I can do that. Actually, I think it's going to pop up here with the subscribe. We'll see you guys later, all right?